Guardians, today we celebrate the first of what will become a long tradition of birthdays. We're joined together as a force that spans the globe to establish another new service tradition, celebrating our proud past and celebrating the Guardians who are boldly inventing our future. The 20th of December is about cultivating the spirit of our young service, an armed service, a warfighting service, an innovative service, a bold service, and a nationally critical service. General George C. Marshall, the architect of our victory in World War II, once said, "It is not enough to fight. It is the spirit we bring to the fight that decides the issue. It is morale that wins the victory."
And your morale should be high. The nation and the world understand just how important access to and freedom to maneuver in space is to our country. Space underpins every instrument of national power, our economy, and our passion for science and exploration. Each of you are writing the Space Force's origin story, and you've made significant and lasting progress in our first year. You have done far more than redesign existing processes and organizations. You push the boundary on the realm of the possible, and you establish the foundations of a warfighting culture that is critical to expanding our competitive advantage. We could not be more proud.
Commemorating our service's birthday provides us a chance to reflect on our history. On their birthdays, soldiers remember their roots dating back to the American Revolution. Sailors reflect on standing the watch from the Western Atlantic to the South China Sea. Airmen recall those who broke barriers to advance American air power in the skies over Europe and the Pacific. Marines commemorate closing with the enemy from Bellawood to Afghanistan. And Coast Guardsmen celebrate securing our ports and our waterways since George Washington first commissioned 10 cutters to the task in 1790. We are proud of our history and the many pioneers whose dedication set conditions for the advantages that we enjoy in space today, and whose vision drove us to accomplish so much more than we imagined. During the Cold War, space was a key component in the great power competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. We guarded against strategic surprise, underpinning deterrence with a robust missile warning network. In the early 90s, we integrated space into theater operations for the first time in Desert Storm. Our satellites showed the Joint Force the way in a featureless desert at night, allowed them to communicate across vast distances, and enabled them to deliver weapons with unmatched precision. Integrating space into theater operations has been our focus ever since, and that integration has provided us remarkable advantage. Today, there is no such thing as a day without space operations. Our joint and coalition forces can function because they can communicate with assurity across vast distances, maneuver with precise navigation, and take action thanks to space-based intelligence. The missions we do in space today are the most joint and interoperable missions in the entire Department of Defense. The work all of you have done made our joint force the world's most powerful military, and that shouldn't be lost on anyone. But the character of space operations changed in 2007. When China tested an anti-satellite missile, successfully shooting down one of their own satellites. And since then, the threats to space increased in scope, scale, and complexity. Today's threats span multiple vectors, everything from cyber weapons, reversible jammers, directed energy weapons, and even space-based weapon systems. Future wars will be won or lost in space. The domain can no longer be taken for granted. If deterrence were to fail, we will have to fight and win the battle for space superiority.
So while our past is a source of enduring strength and pride, we cannot be bound to it. These new threats demand a competitive mindset. New threats demand new warfighters. On December 20th, 2019, the nation took action, established our Space Force because the character of war changed, and space was central to those changes. Today's Guardians have invented the Space Force as a lean, agile, efficient, and mission-focused organization, a world-class team that moves with speed and purpose. You've built a structure that empowers every echelon to embrace a bias towards action, and the results are clear. Our origin story was etched into history by your boldness, agility, and innovation.
You boldly forged a new space power doctrine, orienting our military art and science to the demands of space as a warfighting domain. You pivoted to a warfighter's approach to domain awareness. You increased our ability to detect and respond to malign action in the domain. We forge partnerships with nations who value a stable, secure, and accessible space domain. This first year, you operated with agility, executing critical missions and taking care of your teammates during a global pandemic.
You have made significant progress and should take the time to celebrate. Embrace the pride that follows success. As we celebrate, we thank the Guardians who are deployed and employed across the globe, delivering space power, manning the ultimate Overwatch position. Finally, our families form the core of our strength. They are our best kept secret. Moms, dads, sons and daughters, brothers, sisters, and especially spouses. They are force multipliers. With them, Guardians are resilient, reminded daily of why they serve. Despite the uncertainty that surrounds building a new service, your families have stood strong, remained committed to you and the nation. We celebrate them today and wish them all the best this holiday season.
The Space Force exists today, 1 year old, because our nation recognizes the importance of the domain. Ceding our advantage in space increases the possibility of conflict. Parity undermines stability. So while we must celebrate, we cannot afford to slow down. The Space Force is thriving today, not because of who we are or what we have done, but because of what we must do. You are the Guardians who will ensure the Space Force delivers on the awesome responsibility that our nation has bestowed upon us to compete, deter, and win in space. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, these are simple words, words that have been defined by the courage, commitment, sacrifice, and dedication to victory of those who wore those uniforms. It will be you, the Guardians, who will give our name its meaning. It will be you who define what a Guardian is through a dedication to victory and our touchstones, agility, innovation, and boldness. Happy first birthday, Guardians.
Semper Supra.